The NBA has a way of making the impossible suddenly feel inevitable. A two-time MVP trapped on a sinking ship, a franchise in complete disarray despite championship pedigree, and a superstar whose loyalty might finally be reaching its breaking point. Lakers Nation, we're living in a moment where the basketball gods might just be aligning in our favor in ways we haven't seen since the summer of 2018. Welcome to Lakers News Fan Report, your ultimate destination for breaking news, exclusive analysis, and all the latest developments surrounding our beloved Los Angeles Lakers. I'm bringing you something today that's been building beneath the surface for months, a situation that could fundamentally transform the entire landscape of the NBA, and a scenario that would instantly catapult the Lakers back into championship contention. What I'm about to share requires you to understand the full context, the historical patterns, and the current dynamics at play, so stay locked in, because this is the kind of story that could define the next era of Lakers basketball. Let me take you back to a time when loyalty in the NBA still meant something, when a superstar staying with the team that drafted him was celebrated rather than questioned. Giannis Antetokounmpo arrived in Milwaukee as the 15th overall pick in 2013, a raw prospect from Greece with incredible physical tools but limited polish. Over the years, he transformed himself into one of the most dominant forces the league has ever seen. 2 MVP awards, a Defensive Player of the Year trophy, and most importantly, an NBA championship in 2021 that brought Milwaukee its first title in 50 years. Giannis became more than just a player for the Bucks. He became the franchise, the city's hero, and a symbol of what loyalty and development could achieve in modern basketball. But here's what most people don't know, and this is where our story really begins. Even during those peak years, even when Giannis was cementing his legacy in Milwaukee, there were whispers that his commitment to the Bucks wasn't as ironclad as it appeared. According to reports from NBA insider Jake Fisher, back in 2020, before the championship run that seemed to solidify his future in Wisconsin, Giannis was already considering alternative destinations. 2 teams specifically caught his attention: the Dallas Mavericks, where he could team up with emerging superstar Luka Doncic, and the Miami Heat, a franchise with championship pedigree and a culture of winning that appealed to his competitive nature. Think about the timing of that for a moment. This was 2020, right before Giannis signed his Supermax extension with Milwaukee. The Bucks were coming off disappointing playoff exits. Questions were swirling about whether they could build a championship-caliber team around him, and Giannis was genuinely weighing his options. The fact that he was looking at Miami and Dallas tells you something crucial about his mindset. He wasn't just thinking about staying comfortable in Milwaukee. He was thinking about legacy, about championships, about positioning himself to compete for titles year after year. Obviously, Giannis ended up staying in Milwaukee. He signed that massive extension. The Bucks went on their championship run in 2021. And for a while it seemed like the loyalty gamble had paid off for everyone involved. Milwaukee got to keep their franchise player, Giannis got his championship and cemented his legacy, and the NBA got a feel-good story about a superstar staying with his original team. But championships have a way of masking underlying problems, and the issues that concerned Giannis back in 2020 never really went away. They just got temporarily covered up by championship glory. Fast forward to today, and the situation in Milwaukee has deteriorated to a point that nobody could have predicted just a few years ago. The Bucks currently sit at 10 wins and 15 losses, placing them 10th in the Eastern Conference. Let that sink in for a moment. A team with Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard, 2 legitimate superstars in their primes, is barely clinging to play-in tournament positioning. They've lost 10 of their last 12 games. The chemistry looks broken. The defensive identity that defined their championship season has completely evaporated, and there's a growing sense that this roster construction simply doesn't work. Giannis himself has been spectacular on an individual level, Through 17 games this season, he's averaging 28.9 points, 10.1 rebounds, and 6.1 assists. Those are MVP caliber numbers, the kind of production that should have a team competing at the top of the conference. But basketball is a team game, and individual brilliance can only carry you so far when the supporting cast isn't working, when the coaching isn't connecting, and when the organizational direction seems unclear. Giannis is doing everything he can, and it's not nearly enough to keep the Bucks competitive. This is where the speculation really starts to intensify, and this is where the Lakers need to be paying very close attention. When a superstar of Giannis's caliber is stuck on a team that's clearly not working, when his championship window is being wasted on a roster that can't compete, history tells us that change is inevitable. We've seen this movie before. Kevin Durant leaving Oklahoma City, Anthony Davis forcing his way out of New Orleans, James Harden demanding trades from Houston and Brooklyn. Superstars in the modern NBA don't sit around and watch their primes get wasted. They take control of their destinies and force moves to situations where they can compete for championships. The question isn't whether Giannis will eventually want out of Milwaukee. The question is when and where. And Lakers Nation, this is where things get really interesting for us. Los Angeles has always been a destination for superstars. It's in our DNA as a franchise. From Wilt Chamberlain to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to Shaquille O'Neal to LeBron James, the Lakers have consistently attracted the biggest names in basketball because of our winning culture, our market size, our organizational prestige, and our ability to put stars in positions to compete for championships year after year. Right now, the Lakers are in an interesting position. We're competitive but not championship favorites. We have LeBron James still playing at an elite level, but clearly in the twilight of his career. We have Anthony Davis as a legitimate superstar when healthy, and we have a supporting cast that's solid but not spectacular. We're a team that's one superstar away from being legitimate championship contenders, and Giannis Antetokounmpo is exactly the kind of generational talent that would transform our trajectory. Imagine for a moment what a Lakers team with Giannis would look like. You'd have the most dominant two-way force in basketball, a player who can score at will in the paint, defend all 5 positions, facilitate offense, and impose his will on games in ways that very few players in NBA history have been able to do. Pair him with Anthony Davis, and you'd have arguably the most devastating front-court combination in the league. 2 players who can dominate both ends of the floor, switch everything defensively, and create matchup nightmares for every opponent. Add in whatever supporting cast the Lakers could maintain or acquire, and you're talking about instant championship contention. The financial logistics of acquiring Giannis would be complicated. There's no sugarcoating that. He's on a Supermax contract that pays him over $50 million per season, and the Lakers would need to move significant salary to make the numbers work. But here's the thing. When a player of Giannis's caliber becomes available, you find a way to make it work. You move whatever pieces you need to move. You include whatever draft picks are necessary. You do whatever it takes, because opportunities like this don't come around often. The Lakers have tradable contracts in players like D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, and others who could be packaged to match salary. We have future first-round picks that could be included to sweeten the deal. And most importantly, we have the appeal of Los Angeles, the Lakers brand, and the opportunity to play alongside Anthony Davis in a market where Giannis could maximize both his on-court success and his off-court business opportunities. That's a compelling pitch, especially for a player who's already shown willingness to consider major markets like Miami back in 2020. The timing could actually work out perfectly for the Lakers. Giannis has 3 years remaining on his current contract, but there's growing speculation that this could be his last season in Milwaukee if things don't turn around dramatically. The Bucks are facing a critical decision point. Do they try to salvage this situation and convince Giannis to stay, or do they recognize that the window has closed and look to trade him while his value is still at its peak? If Milwaukee decides to move on, the Lakers need to be first in line with an aggressive offer. There's also the LeBron James factor to consider here. LeBron and Giannis have mutual respect for each other. They've competed against each other in big playoff moments, and LeBron has publicly praised Giannis's game on multiple occasions. While LeBron is in the later stages of his career, the opportunity to play alongside Giannis could be incredibly appealing for both players. LeBron could take on more of a facilitator role, letting Giannis be the primary offensive weapon while still contributing at a high level, and Giannis would benefit from LeBron's basketball IQ, playmaking, and championship experience. The Anthony Davis partnership is another angle that makes this so intriguing. AD and Giannis playing together would create defensive versatility that the league has rarely seen. Both players can guard multiple positions, protect the rim, switch on the perimeter, and anchor elite defensive schemes. Offensively, they'd complement each other perfectly. Giannis attacking the paint and creating opportunities, AD spacing the floor with his mid-range game and ability to stretch to the three-point line, and both players dominating the glass and creating second-chance opportunities. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds too good to be true. This is just wishful thinking. There's no way Milwaukee trades Giannis to the Lakers. And I understand that skepticism, I really do. But let me remind you of something. People said the same thing about Anthony Davis. The Pelicans were never going to trade their franchise player to the Lakers. It would never happen. We were just setting ourselves up for disappointment. And then it happened. The Lakers made it happen through aggressive pursuit, smart asset management, and the appeal of our organization and market. The NBA landscape changes quickly, and situations that seem impossible in December can become reality by February's trade deadline or the following summer. The key is being prepared, having your assets aligned, and being ready to strike when the opportunity presents itself. The Lakers front office, led by Rob Pelinka, has shown they're willing to be aggressive when star players become available. They did it with AD. They've been active in pursuing other stars, and there is every reason to believe they'd go all in on a Giannis pursuit if he becomes available. There's also the historical precedent of Milwaukee trading away superstars. This is the franchise that let Kareem Abdul-Jabbar go to the Lakers back in 1975. A trade that worked out pretty well for Los Angeles, as Kareem won 5 championships with us and became one of the greatest Lakers of all time. History has a funny way of repeating itself, and while I'm not saying Giannis to the Lakers is inevitable, I am saying that Milwaukee has shown in the past that they're willing to move on from generational talents when the situation demands it. The other teams that could be in the mix for Giannis are worth considering as well. Miami was on his radar back in 2020, and they still have the assets and the culture to make a competitive offer. The Heat have shown they can build championship contending teams quickly, and their organizational stability is appealing. Dallas with Luka Doncic would create an incredible duo, and the Mavericks have young assets and picks to offer. Teams like the Warriors, Nets, or even dark horse candidates could emerge if Giannis becomes available. But here's why the Lakers have an advantage over all those potential suitors. We offer the perfect combination of market appeal, organizational prestige, existing star power, and championship infrastructure. Giannis wouldn't be coming to Los Angeles to build something from scratch. He'd be joining a team with Anthony Davis, a solid supporting cast, and a front office that knows how to construct championship rosters. He'd be playing in the second-largest media market in the country, with opportunities for brand growth and business ventures that smaller markets simply can't match. And he'd be wearing the purple and gold, joining a lineage of Lakers legends that includes Magic, Kareem, Shaq, Kobe, and LeBron. The impact on the Western Conference would be seismic. The Lakers would immediately vault to the top of the championship conversation, joining teams like Denver, Phoenix, and Golden State as legitimate title contenders. The regular season would become about building chemistry and staying healthy, knowing that come playoff time, a Giannis, AD, LeBron trio would be nearly impossible to stop over a 7-game series. The defensive potential alone would be championship caliber, and offensively, you'd have multiple players who can create their own shots and take over games when needed. For Giannis personally, joining the Lakers would offer something Milwaukee can no longer provide: a clear path to multiple championships. He's already got 1 ring, which is more than many all-time greats can say, but players of his caliber are thinking about legacy, about where they rank all-time, about how many championships they can accumulate. If he stays in Milwaukee and wastes the next 3 years on a team that can't compete, that's 3 years of his prime gone forever. But if he comes to LA and wins 2 or 3 championships alongside AD and LeBron, suddenly we're talking about a top 15 all-time player, a first-ballot Hall of Famer with multiple rings and a legacy that transcends his Milwaukee years. The Lakers fan base would embrace Giannis instantly. We appreciate greatness, we recognize generational talent, and we'd welcome him with open arms as the next superstar to carry the torch for this franchise. The same fans who celebrated LeBron's arrival, who cheered for Kobe's championships, who watched Magic and Kareem dominate in the 80s, would pack crypto, come arena every night to watch Giannis do his thing in purple and gold. That's the kind of basketball environment that superstars crave, and it's something Milwaukee simply can't replicate. So where do we go from here? The immediate future involves watching Milwaukee's season continue to unravel, monitoring Giannis's body language and public comments, and seeing whether the Bucks can turn things around or if this really is the beginning of the end. The trade deadline in February could be significant if Milwaukee decides to make major changes, though trading Giannis at the deadline seems unlikely given the magnitude of such a move. More realistically, we're looking at the offseason as the window when Giannis's future gets decided one way or another. The Lakers need to be preparing now, having internal discussions about what a trade package would look like, which players would be untouchable versus who could be moved, and what the roster construction would look like with Giannis on board. Rob Pelinka and the front office should be doing their homework, building relationships, and positioning the Lakers to be the most attractive destination if and when Giannis decides he wants out of Milwaukee. Lakers Nation, I want to hear from you on this. Do you believe Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Lakers is a realistic possibility? Or am I just feeding you championship dreams that won't materialize? What would you be willing to give up in a trade to acquire him? Would you move D'Angelo Russell, multiple first-round picks, and young players to make it happen? How do you think a Giannis AD LeBron trio would work together, and would that be enough? To win multiple championships? Do you think Giannis's loyalty to Milwaukee is strong enough to keep him there despite the team's struggles? Or do you believe every player has a breaking point when their prime is being wasted? This is the kind of opportunity that defines franchises, and the Lakers must be ready to act decisively when the moment arrives. If you want to stay on top of every development in the Giannis situation, every Lakers trade possibility, and all the breaking news surrounding our championship pursuit, you need to be subscribed to Lakers News Fan Report right now. Hit that subscribe button, smash the notification bell so you never miss an update, and drop a like on this video if you found this analysis valuable. Share this with every Lakers fan who needs to understand what could be coming. Comment below with your thoughts on Giannis to LA, and let's build the strongest Lakers community on YouTube. Lake Show forever, and I'll see you in the next video with more exclusive coverage and championship-focused analysis.